welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Romance Nights. We are your hosts, Colleen.
And I'm Marjorie. Tonight we will be reviewing Pen Pal by USA Today's best-selling author JT Geisinger. This book is described as a book talk sensation as well as a high-octane dark romance with an unforgettable twist.
Okay. All right. Before, let's just start off with the basics. What did you, yes. Oh, is that the one with the words? Yes. I got mine behind me. What did you rate the book? Be honest.
I'll probably do it as a 4-star. Don't kill me for anybody that loves it. It's 4 stars for me.
Okay.
But I think there's stuff for me that's missing.
Okay. Well, that's another question.
Okay, yeah. But yeah.
And what about spice?
I like 3.
Yeah.
3.
I can agree with that. I feel like once the spice got going, it got going.
Yeah.
I rated it a 5. I loved it.
Yeah.
But that's where you and I are different sometimes, you know.
Mhm.
I did. So I loved it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about the FMC Kayla?
I liked her as a character. I think I got in my head a little bit, wondering if she had lost her mind. Because I was teetering between whether or not she'd lost her mind, or if I actually eventually I was like, oh, she's dead. I was like, I think she's dead.
Mhm.
So, but I liked her as a character. I didn't find her annoying. You know how some female characters are like, oh God, you're so annoying. To me, she wasn't.
Yeah. So, okay, at the beginning, I did like her. Like, I liked her in the beginning. The middle, where when you're trying to figure out where this story is going, I was kind of annoyed with her. Like, there
Okay.
were some parts. But, once you finish the story, it's like you can kind of understand why she is the way that she was in the middle of the story. We she didn't know, like, before we get to that plot point.
Yeah,
She
yeah, yeah.
didn't know what was happening. She just thought she was crazy. I would say before we get to the plot, well, we'll do that later. But yeah, I also wanted to have, I don't know, not just her point of view, but
I
that's a
know.
preference. That's a
Yeah.
preference because then I'm all in the female main character, and then there's no break. So when I'm getting annoyed, it makes me want to chuck the
Yeah.
it makes me want to throw the Kindle and makes me not want to finish it. Because at some point I struggled a little bit in the middle, because it's like, okay, I really want his point of view so that I get a break from her.
I guess that was obviously intentional because I feel like the author was just sprinkling little seeds in,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe if they put Aiden in, it would be like give too much away. I don't know.
Probably because he knew, like,
Yeah.
he knew. He wasn't like it wasn't like it was a surprise to him, I guess. Um, Thoughts on Aiden?
I you know what? At first, I wasn't sure what I felt about him. Like, here is
Mhm.
this weirdo, and I'm like, why are you just like blindly letting this fucking guy in the house?
Right.
Like, I didn't know. But as the book went on, I was like, oh, I would date this guy.
Mm-hmm. Like, 'cause from her perspective, he's already all in.
I
Like,
know.
he's pretty much, and I think that's why in the middle I was kind of annoyed with her, because
Yeah.
you have this guy that's already all in. He didn't want to play. He didn't want to date, and you're just like, I want to take it one day at a time. And I'm like, but obviously towards the end it makes sense. But
Yeah,
like when
because
you're
he already knew everything, so he already
Yeah,
loves her, yeah.
right, and that's what I'm saying, like, he already it's like
Mhm.
to you, but as a reader, when you're, like, reading because it's
I
just
know.
her point of view, you're gonna get annoyed with her as a character because you have this guy that's like, "I'm all in." You know,
Yeah.
"Come talk to me when when you figured it out," kinda thing,
I
you
know.
know?
I
Like
know. It's
like
like you
and
wanted
he
to
kept,
hate
like,
him.
saying it, it's like, "Come talk to me when you figure it out because I this is it for me. It's it." Like, you know, and you're reading her character, she sounds like fucking crazy, but she's not, you know, but, like, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I did like his character because he's pretty straightforward, there's no drama, he knew what he wanted, it was simple, and that's it, you
yeah. I really liked him, like, as time went on.
know? Mhm.
Um, yeah. So, what did you think initially with the mysterious letter?
Mm. So, at first I was like, "Okay, that's a" it's mystery, but as soon as Aiden came into the picture, I knew it was him.
Right away you knew?
Mhm. I was like, "It's Aiden," because I was like I think it's because it's like, the way he act, like, when she was describing him, like, how he was talking to her or how he acted around her, like, mysterious, and then how he talks, and then when you're reading the letters,
Mhm.
it's it it's almost reminiscent, like it's already giving you hints, and as you get it, it's like he's giving you hints anyway. So I knew I was like when she finally was like, okay, it's got to be Aiden because she's attracted to him, and then they started the romance, and so I was like, it's Aiden that's sending this letters.
I eventually started to think that, and I kept thinking about what it said in the letters and what he was saying to her, and I was like, "I'm just waiting for one slip up. Like, say
Mhm.
one thing that maybe was said in the letters and"
Yeah,
but
they didn't really slip up with the
no.
letters and stuff, but the way he would, like, talk to her in the letter, and the way he talks to her, even when they're just having, like, normal conversation, you can
Mhm.
like, that I knew it. I was like, "Okay, it's either Aiden's dead, and it's all in her fucking imagination, or everyone's fucking dead in this story."
Do you remember, like, when this book I guess maybe, like, when it first came out, people were saying, like, it was a misrepresentation of schizophrenia. So, I was when I started reading this book and I was like, "Okay, I'm already going in here, she has a mental illness." But then I'm like,
But
"Why
it's
were
not
people
meant.
saying that?"
Yeah, because I think it's because they didn't understand. It's like, okay, so I've said this before. I love horror movies. Have
Mhm.
you watched the movie The Others?
No.
Nicole Kidman.
Oh,
Okay,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
it's a reminiscent of this book.
Mhm.
Like once she started talking, like once she has more conversation with um Fiona, and then the alcohol place, and then the it's not alcoholic anonymous, it's the grief grief group, and then like the random people that she would interact with,
Mhm.
um and also which one was it? Oh, the psychic, the psychic
Yeah.
that she went to. I was like, okay, I already know where this is going. And then plus that little
Okay.
kid, I was like, okay, I can push through this. I already know what's gonna happen. Like, when they do that seance, I already know what's gonna happen, kind of thing. And um, especially when they kept adding that kid, the little boy.
Yeah.
Um,
'Cause they
yeah.
always say kids can see spirits.
Right. Well, and then like that one point that we're in the book where the kid stared at her and then he was screaming bloody murder. Then I was like, okay, the kid is not the one that's the issue. She's the
Yeah.
issue. Um, but yeah. And then she couldn't remember half the stuff, with her husband and all that stuff. Like she, she can't remember things,
I know.
like,
Wait, Who was the guy with the hat and the coat?
It's her ex-husband. But in her mind, she's seeing things.
Okay, so he wasn't.
So like if you read when you read how they okay, since we're already on the plot twist anyway. Like
Sorry,
you
yeah.
read you read the ending of it
Yeah.
when she finally figure out like, "Oh, I'm dead." But then she remembers how she died. He was wearing that trench coat and things when he broke into the cabin
Okay, okay.
where Aiden and
I just thought
like
about
that
that. Okay.
The New Year's Eve, and he was like thin and all that stuff, and he had that when she died. He had that nickel and
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
So
okay.
it kind of like full circle. Like yes, she's seeing him. She thought that because I think in her head somebody was haunting her, but technically
Right.
she's the one that's haunting
No,
their
bitch, you're
house.
haunting everybody else.
Right, like the poor family. And like well, and then like when she would like describe how Fiona acts around her and how she talks to her, I'm
Yeah.
almost like, okay, Fiona cleans the house and helps out, but she's the one that's haunting. So it's like it's the same plot twist as if you watch the movie The Others.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw it a long time ago, but I do remember, like,
I love that movie because
she
like
didn't
the whole
realize
plot,
she was the whole family, right?
the
Were the
whole
kids.
family,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, because remember at one point they were like, oh, you get a picture of them like they're alive, and then she finally figures out that picture at the end. That's like, oh, I'm the one that's haunting the me and my family were the one that's haunting the house. We were
Yeah.
not haunted, we were the one haunting the house. But yeah, I know a lot of people like got scared of that movie, and I was like, but it's not
Yeah.
really scary. So it is a reminiscent of this. That's why I was like, when it finally like making sense. And I was like, I know this. I know what's going on.
I didn't know right away. Like, I didn't know the plot twist right away. As I started reading, I started getting inklings, but I only because I had heard other people's reviews about mental illness, I'm like, I don't know. And that's
This
why
is
I'm
not
like,
even
why the
mental.
freak do I listen to people?
This is not even like there's nothing mental.
No.
I mean,
No.
there's trauma because the husband
Right,
is
right.
abusive. But as far as her having mental issues, she didn't.
Yeah.
I think the reason people like thought that she has mental issues because she kept saying it's like, oh, maybe I need to go to therapy.
Well, these fuckers will find a reason
But
to be
the thing is like
offended.
she's confused. She didn't know that she's dead
Yeah.
until and the thing is the whole time, Fiona and the sister during that seance, they were trying to hint it towards like trying to hint her. And
Because
if
you can't
you
tell her that she's dead.
right, yeah, well, because even like how when she knocked at that the place, the psychic
Oh, right. So
old lady didn't see her, so she shut the door and like she's like she acted like she didn't see me. And
and then
then
the
the younger girl,
spirit.
the the granddaughter or whatever can see her, and then she's like, made up an excuse like, oh, I'm sorry, my mom, like, or my
She's old.
grandma,
She don't
she's
see.
old and whatever. And
Yeah.
then she even like when she was at that grief place where she was talking to this mom, nobody was talking to them. And she even said it's like that's weird, like they don't even talk to her, like they don't see her, like she's invisible. So she's got it as a reader when you're like reading it, like it's telling you, but to her it's just weird.
Right. I
Kind of
think it
makes me
was subtle.
wonder. Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder about the best friends of Aiden, like when they had that double dates and stuff.
Right.
So obviously it's like it's a like almost like she's reimagining the whole relationship that they
Right. But did it happen? And the bartender, did it really happen? Giving her the drink? Like,
had. Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm. It didn't really like. So I'm guessing it's like it's they're probably reenacting their whole. But
I guess.
remember with the things like Aiden was the first one to like go to her when they were at the bar. Like,
Yeah.
and then it's just the two of them like talking. But I bet you it's like it was a reenactment of like what they already had.
Well, I think it was, but
Hmm. Like, yeah. But then like when she gets home, she's confused. Because remember she kept saying like, "Oh, I'm losing time. I'm not remembering things." So I think it's like as soon as she gets to the house, she gets confused.
she also says, like, she tells that hippie guy, "Oh, my husband died." You know,
Hmm.
she tells Aiden, "We're separated. Like, we're
Right.
not together anymore."
Hmm.
And or he
But they
left,
are.
whatever it is, whatever she said. And then she had said to herself, I don't know why I said that. Like, why wouldn't I
Mhm.
just tell him? Because in real life, when this really happened, he wasn't dead. Well, he was
He
never
w
dead, but
Yeah, he was never dead, but they did separate.
yeah,
Like, and the thing was, it's like they met after
right.
separate. I mean, it's kind of sad, like because you asked us like if it is an HEA. It is an HEA in purgatory. Like they still ended up. Obviously, they died at the same time together.
Did you cry?
No.
I did.
At that point, I was like, I already knew what was happening. Like when it, especially when she saw when she finally knew that she was dead, and I was like, oh, he's already dead too. Aiden's already dead, and she's dead. And I think that's why he's
Yeah.
giving her space, is like making her like figure shit out because he already knew what's going on. She's just
Like,
hasn't moved on. I think it's because I think she hasn't moved on because the way she died, like she saw him die and she didn't want him to die.
yeah.
I mean, we did
I
get his point of view, one chapter of it.
yeah. Which was a good closing, so
Mhm.
we can so it lets us know he knew all along.
Oh, yeah.
I was, like, devastated. I mean, I knew. I was I don't know if that's the right word. I was emotional because he lied for her to try and save her, like,
Hmm.
and was like, "I love you and whatever, I'll always love you." And then I'm like, "No, I know my husband would not do that shit for me."
Oh, I know my husband would do it for me.
Not me.
He would like would sacrifice himself first.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, I mean, I didn't cry. I mean,
I mean, I
it's
wasn't bawling.
it's sad because but I'm glad that it was actually both of them died instead of
Yeah.
just him dying and then she's at first when I actually first think was because think I had a like when I says like, oh, the guy that she's writing with is gonna be the MMC. I was like thinking, I was like, is this gonna be like a lake house type deal? The movie Lake
I
House,
never saw it, but I knew the premise of it. They just weren't in the same time frame.
but they were in the same house.
Right.
And the reason that he wasn't there at the same time as hers because he died
Yeah.
years. Like she was there, like she witnessed the death, but she wasn't like they didn't knew it. Well, actually, like they almost like met each other or something like that. It was like I
Yeah.
love that story. Like it was sad because well, you fall in love with somebody. Come to find out, like the reason that you guys will never meet is because he died, which she found out in the towards the end because she just thought that
He
she
never showed up or
he
so
never
like they
showed up.
yeah.
Well, the reason that he couldn't showed up was he was already dead. And then like the architect that she talks to, like he had that frame because remember he was an architect or something like that, and he had that lake house picture, and he's like, who
Shit, I
did
don't wanna see I'm glad I never watched that movie if they don't end up together.
they didn't. It was
Forget it.
yeah, like so she sees it and it's like, oh, who I know that house, like who's it? And then the brother says like, oh, it's my brother, like he died, blah blah blah, and then asks the name, and then she's just like, and then she goes run to the house and write him write him and saying like, don't go on this date or whatever, like avoid the place, or because she finds out where he died or something like that.
Well,
But it was kind of, they had like one moment where they were in the same space at the same time, but like different time frames where they kind of like make out with each other or something like that. Like
ugh, forget it.
yeah.
It's too convoluted for me.
Yeah, it's convoluted. But yeah, I thought that was gonna be it, and then I started reading it. I was like, there's ghosts, and I was like, okay, she's probably the dead one. Like, but yeah.
So you'll characterize it as a happily ever after.
In purgatory.
Yeah. Well, that was a big question for a lot of the readers, was whether or not they felt it was a HEA, and
It's an
I
HEA for them because
for,
they still,
yeah, I
yeah,
felt
but
like at least they get to get together in the afterlife.
yeah,
Um,
it's still an unconventional
right,
HEA,
but they're together
but they're
and that's it.
together. It would be like not an HEA if only one of them died.
But I don't know if like if they went to, all right, I'm not going to make this all theological, but like me, cuz I always got to take things the next step. Is in my head, I'm like, okay, if you went to heaven, well, I'm sure you can't have sex up there. So what's the point in being together now?
But they still together, though. Like
Is it
they
enough?
made their own heaven technically, like because
I know, but
once
you
she,
don't mean I had to take it there.
yeah, like when she finally figure out that it was her, and he says like, I was just been waiting on you, kind of thing.
Oh,
Um, but I'm glad I like the fact that they scared Michael.
yes, the
They
best.
tortured
The
him
asshole.
because he could see them, and then they kept just saying boo to him. That was funny. So I'm guessing that the detective that she was talking to has already been dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
He
it's
died.
just in her head. Like all the
Or
characters.
he did real I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's the book is pretty open to interpretation. Like it's
Mhm.
just I guess a lot of parts it's up to you to decide, I
Well,
guess.
because like remember the handyman Eddie
Oh,
died
he was
way,
awesome.
way back when. But I think they're all ghosts that just roaming around there and interacting
Yeah.
with her. But at the same time also like you get hints when there's like nobody's calling her back.
Well, yeah, it all made sense.
Yeah, the therapist David Letterman. Like, oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
I found it funny. I was like, David Letterman. I was like, okay, you know that that's not real.
Right.
Like, even Eddie is like giving you hints.
Yeah. Oh, do you is it was that what it was?
Yeah. Because
See?
Eddie's already dead. Like,
Yeah, I knew
obviously.
that because
That's
she
why he was
called.
like, but yeah, but like when they would talk, he was just like, the way he talked, and I was like, he's not fucking real. Like, he's the nice real. And then she's the one that keeps ringing the fucking doorbell. Oh, and she was the one who's making, well, the creaking noises that she's hearing is the people
Right.
that live there. And the reason that there's always indentation on the bed is because they sleep there. And she technically doesn't sleep. She just thinks that she sleeps, and then it's like, that's why she's
Time
like,
lapses.
she has that missing time.
Mhm.
It's because she's dead. But yeah, I do like their well, we didn't really get a glimpse much of their relationship.
Oh, it was like a fuck fest.
Right. Like as far like like besides the spicy stuff, like I wish that they actually have like showed their relationship before they died.
I could agree with that. Like,
Or unless that's actually their relation. But because see, I don't think that that's their relationship. I think it's just her journey of finding out that they're both fucking dead, and he's been like saying like,
yeah,
I'll wait for you, because he keeps saying like, I'll wait for you, I'll wait for you. So obviously he's just like helping her out, like saying like, we're dead. So I wish we saw their actual relationship,
yeah,
like
like a
how like how it is, like why why Michael ended up killing them, you know. Like we got that like that part in the new year, like the how they died.
Well,
Like the
how would you have executed that? Like, where would you have put that?
it would be her like, oh yeah, because in her mind her husband was the one who died. But
Right.
technically the one that she's thinking that died is actually Aiden. Because when she finds out, it's like, oh, well, the person that I do love died was Aiden.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. I wish we did get a glimpse of how they actually. But I guess if we did see that, it would have been more obvious that they're dead.
Unless the book didn't start out the way it did.
Yeah, because it started out as like after the funeral.
If it started out with them in a relation, I don't know. I get, I'm not a writer, but I guess it's just hard. I guess, I don't know. But I know what you're saying. It would have been nice because to me, I didn't feel their connection
Right, because
until
it's
the
just
very end where they were getting killed. Like, I mean,
right.
like an intimate more than just physical.
Yeah, because it's like it showed that they're already in a relationship, and he found them,
Hmm.
and that's when she was like freaking out that he's gonna die. Like, don't like don't sacrifice yourself for me, kind of thing. Like, like because she could see it in his eyes. That's like, oh, he's gonna sacrifice. Because then even when she says like, oh, but like, why is he lying? Like, we met after the fact that
Right.
I'm already separated and all that stuff, but he lied to him. And yeah.
That's true love.
I did want, yeah, I wanted to see how their relationship started, because then it would make more sense why she was drawn to him. Because
Hmm.
remember, it's like, oh, I just met you, you're the roof guy. But all of a sudden, like after the bar, I'm gonna have fucking sex with you, and I was like, I don't know why I feel safe with you. I'm like, what? There's not even like a relationship thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like a all in, like insta love.
Well, yeah, and then he kept saying, "It's like I'm all in, I'm all in," and I'm like, "Fuck, I'm all in."
Slow
So
down.
I'm getting pissed off at Kayla because she's like, "I'm gonna take it one day at a time." So you're getting pissed off because like you have this guy that just wants to be with you, and then you're like, "I'll take it one day at a time," and I don't want to I don't know why I don't want to remove my, or the fact that she wasn't even telling him that she's married, or I was getting pissed off. Like I was thinking, it's like, you selfish bitch. Like, you
Right.
want your cake and eat it too. Like, what? Until you
Yeah.
like, obviously, once you get to the plot twist where like she's dead, and, then you're like, oh, she's just confused. But I feel like if we had like even glimpses of, or even if it's not the whole past, like how they met or whatever, but we get his point of view, then we would understand. But then again, it's like
Yeah.
I think the reason that she didn't put his point of view is because he already knew that they're dead,
You
and
know
she's
what?
just she
You know
was
what?
just
Good.
yeah, he was just waiting for her to catch up.
You know what the author could have done
Hmm.
is do flashbacks into what like things she thought was happening and let her think it was her and her husband. Because in
But
the
it was
beginning she thought she had this loving relationship with her
right,
husband. But when everything comes up, she could have been like, "Oh wait, all those memories were with Aiden."
right, yeah. Well, because like, because even with the how like she miscarried because the husband was like a
Yeah.
dick. In her head, she just miscarried for no like it was just miscarriage. Like she didn't want to really like
Yeah.
when she would think about the fact that she was pregnant, she would like all of a sudden like, oh, I don't want to think about it, kind of thing. Like she wasn't open to thinking
Right.
about it yet. So, but yeah,
Huh.
yeah, I wish, yeah, that would have been good because it's like she thinks, yeah, she did think that she was in love with her husband and all that stuff, but it would be good, like with those flashbacks. Then in the end, once she finally figure out that she's dead, it will be like, oh, all the stuff is Aiden. Yeah, she could have done that probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Um,
there were like some chapters that were like, it's just like unnecessary.
really? See, I flew through it. I couldn't get enough of it. Um, Very early on, though, remember when she looked at her wedding picture and there was a bruise on her arm? That was like the first inclination that,
He was abusive. Yeah.
yeah. Whew,
Yeah, it was like, and then there was like, because then her mind would shut down. Like
right.
she will get a headache every time she would like think. She would get a headache. And I was like, her husband was abusive. So I don't know what she's talking about. Like, we're in a loving relationship. That's why I think I was getting like irritated when she would not take off her wedding ring, and the fact that she would keep telling Aiden like one day at a time. And then
Well, they have
when
eternity, so.
right, and then once finally Aiden was like, no, just go home to your house, that's your punishment, kind of like when he was saying, say, that's your punishment. But then when she got home, she was like, but I don't want to go home, I don't want this space, I don't know why I would not take this off, the wedding ring off. Like, yeah.
Had she opened that fucking newspaper, she would have found
Oh,
out a little bit sooner.
yeah, because she kept like, oh, I don't want to look at that, like, yeah. But I
Ugh,
don't think she was ready until the sisters explained it to
I love
her.
those sisters.
Yeah. Well, Fiona was just like looking at her like, you're fucking crazy. Like, really, like, we've been like hinting at you. Like, I've been hinting towards this for a while. Well, yeah, and she was like, and you can tell like she was so determined not to believe in ghosts and all this stuff, and like, and I was like getting irritated at that because I believe in ghosts and all that stuff, and she was just like, oh my god, this bitch. And I was like, yelling at Mike, and I was like, you're the dead one. Oh, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, just get there. Get
Crap, I
there.
hope that doesn't happen to me, or any
What?
of us for that matter.
I don't know. I mean, I would say this though. Like, I mean, dead people don't really like bother you. They just stare at you.
Mm.
I mean, I would remember the moment that I was. Oh, when I was younger, my mom would tell me this. The moment I would start actually interacting with them. That's when they got scared.
Yeah.
So, 'cause they were giving me food.
Oh,
Like
okay.
my parents would wake up. There's food on where the window is.
Mhm.
Thankfully, like I didn't eat them. I didn't eat it. But like as soon as they started interacting and leaving food like that, we left that house.
Oh my god, that's
We
funny.
left that rental house so fast. They're like, we'd rather like just do like the ghost that she sees at my grandparents' house, because we all lived in my grandparents' house.
Oh, okay.
So we're
Yeah, that's
used to it. We're
interesting.
just like whatever. Like,
Mm.
but yeah.
Um,
Tommy
well, I
hates.
think we kinda talked about, if other than what we've already spoke about, do you think there's anything else you would have executed differently?
I wouldn't say this is a dark romance.
No, I thank you for bringing that up. No, I
More
don't.
contemporary. Like,
More like, I don't even know if
it's
suspense
not
is the
really
word.
contemporary. Um,
Suspenseful elements.
it's more like a thriller.
Paranormal.
It's not even thriller. I don't think it's a thriller
No.
either. It's like I wasn't scared. I wasn't like, I was just like
Yeah, I would
it's
have to
more of a
disagree.
mystery. It's a mystery.
Mystery, there you go. Yeah, I'd
Would
have
I
to
call it?
disagree with dark romance for
Yeah, would
sure.
I call it like full on romance? Not really,
Mm.
because it wasn't like, it didn't really, for me, like said, it didn't really felt like a romance. It's more of like he's just waiting for her to catch up.
It's a love
There,
story.
a love story. Like we already like by the time that we get to it, it's like, oh, they've been together. He's just waiting for her to catch up
Yeah.
of their reality, like the fact that they're already dead and all that stuff. It's, yeah.
So the description that I wrote is not, I just want to preface it by saying that is like the word said, it's a high octane dark romance. I did not write that. That is like when you look up like the
The
blurb. So
Mhm.
I put that there purposely because I'm not knocking the book because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I couldn't
It's a
get enough,
good
but I
one.
wouldn't say it was a high octane dark romance.
No, high octane. And I don't think it's a dark romance.
No,
There's
no.
like suspense element.
Right.
There's
Mystery.
mystery. Obviously, the love story is a given.
Mhm.
Um, that's about it. Like really, like yeah, but it's not really like yeah. I don't know. It's not. I don't know what I would call it. I mean, probably when she first published it, like when was this originally published?
2000, was it 21 or 22?
Yeah, so at that point, the story 22. So at that point, they weren't like the dark romance that we read now aren't super dark, like
There
at
it is.
that point, like when she probably first published it, it would be called darkish. Because if you compare it to a contemporary, this is a little bit more darker because of the mystery. This is, like the suspense part. Um, but I wouldn't call it like where she has mental issues. She didn't.
No. Mm-mm.
I mean,
Yeah, it
if
was
for example she was the one that's haunted, she's haunted, but she's not crazy.
no, no.
To her, she thinks that she's crazy because she's seeing things. She's like, experiencing all this haunting and all that stuff.
I
But
would
she's
think I was going crazy too.
yeah, but like quote unquote like actual like have mental issues where like she had mental issues. No, she doesn't have mental issues.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it touched on any mental health issues or whatever. I didn't read any of the reviews because I was like, I don't want to like ruin it.
It wasn't a written review. It was videos that I had seen
Hmm.
a long time ago. I guess maybe when this first came out, where people were up in arms. Not a whole bunch, but I
Hmm.
remember seeing videos about people up in arms about how it being a misrepresentation of schizophrenia. I'm like, okay, so that's why I was like, oh, this is about it. I know what this is about. She's got a mental illness. And then I'm like,
Yeah, you read it.
no.
There's no mental illness to it. It's just like she just didn't know she's dead. They had
Yeah.
to like get her there.
I gotta find that video.
'Cause
I'm gonna
almost like misrepresentation. I'm like, even like I was looking at JD Geisinger's thing, like trying to find the tropes and stuff, and I was like, I can't find any tropes for it because it's like, you know, it is an unconventional HEA. I would say that. There's mystery part
I
to
was
it.
happy with the ending. It
Yeah,
wasn't
I like the ending, but I mean, again, I was like, I already like once I was getting close to it, I already knew that they're
mhm,
both dead, and I was like, well, obviously they're in their own little heaven. They're together. So, um,
yeah.
but yeah, but I wouldn't say that there's any mental health representations. Like whoever said that, it's kind of like, did you actually read the fucking story? Because
I know.
she didn't have any mental issues.
Yeah.
Nothing. She's just confused. She just didn't know. She forgot. You know, or she didn't want to believe that she's dead
Yeah.
because she didn't
Agreed.
even want to believe with like about ghosts. But it was hinted throughout it that there's ghosts around and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, final thoughts?
yeah, I mean that's the only thing that I really wanted is with like how they actually started their romance. For me to like call the whole thing a romance, we should have gotten their beginning, like how they met. Not that they met like, oh, he's the roof guy, but I'm drawn to him, and I'm like, well, now I know why you're drawn to him because you guys had a relationship when you were alive.
Yeah. I'm with you in the sense that I wouldn't change anything except for maybe throwing in I would have liked to have seen a few flashbacks
Hmm.
to give us, like you said, a
I
taste
mean,
of
it's
the
a
actual
short enough
relationship.
book. It's short enough book that when she finally figures out that she's dead, that she's the one that's haunting these people, that we could have had the flashbacks, like
Oh, yeah, throw
how.
that throw it in at
Yeah,
the end. Like,
but that's what I'm saying. It's like
yeah.
before before she went back to his house, where like I'm ready, kind of thing. Like, I don't need the space, or that they finally figure out before, like right up until like where, because they did the flashback of how they died
Mhm.
that New Year's. Like in his, when he says like, New Year's is the last time that we're gonna have it. Like, and then it puts her point of view of how they died and stuff. They could have like, we don't need the play by play of all the sex fest or anything, but like at least like how they met, and then like kind of like, you know, like even if it's just one chapter of like how, didn't even say however how long they've been dating before they died.
4 months?
Okay, so 4 months, like yeah, you can like do a one chapter of like their meet cute, and then how they, you know,
Yeah. I think that's how they met. Like, that really happened. She had a leaky roof.
where was she
Not
living?
when it happened 4 months ago, like, it was
Mhm.
like they redid it. So I think
Yeah,
that's really how they met.
yeah, but yeah, but then it jumped to where like
I know.
I'm drawn to him. Like, but she's confused, like, but I'm married. My husband's just died. Like, so
I
she couldn't
gotcha.
articulate her feelings, why she liked this guy, and then yeah. So basically, like their stories, like their love stories, almost like post their death. Like that's how you're
Yeah,
seeing them, like their
true.
relationship, but because it didn't touch base where like she said that she's married, or like he knew that she's married because she was wearing the wedding ring, but she wouldn't talk about it or whatever. But obviously when you like see it at that New Year's or whatever, he knew what he was doing to her. He knew everything
Right.
that happened to her. So those kind of moments I wish,
You
you
just
know
wanted more.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously when she finally figured out it, everything came back to her. That could have been like where the flashbacks happen, when she finally remembered.
Mm,
Yeah, because I mean, it's like if we're gonna call it romance, we need the romance in it.
yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, this my final thoughts is I enjoyed it. I loved it. I even recommended it to 2 friends that don't generally read.
Mm.
Um,
It's not dark, so
no, they don't generally read the books that I would read, but I felt safe recommending this. I even
yeah,
told my mom, I was like, "You should read it." And she's like, "No, thank you. I know what you read." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." You but so
there was
yeah.
spice, but there was barely spice, and I
Yeah, there
think
was
that's
more to the
why.
story.
Yeah, I think that's why people like think that's like a mental health issue, because like of what she was going through. Um and I wonder if like those people that kind of like say it's a misrepresentation, it's like, did you actually read it through the end, or
Mhm.
you tapped out at some point and
Right.
did not read it through the end? Because in the end, it it explains, especially when that little boy during the seance comes down and sees her and screams bloody murder, and
Right.
he was hiding, and that's when she was like, it clicked to her like, oh, I'm the one that's terrorizing this little boy. Sorry, like, you know that poor little kid, like terrorized, got terrorized. I mean, she wasn't like scaring her, but like obviously she's kind of angry at some point,
Right.
like you know because remember she said revenge, and like that's the reason that the ghost was still there, is
Yeah.
revenge. um so I wonder if that the house that he was supposed to be building, that was the house that was for them, and he didn't finish it because they died.
I would think so.
Yeah. Well, I want
Yeah.
to know where that cabin was, because they were in the cabin, remember? Oh, it's the same house. I guess. Because didn't he drown her in that um lake or whatever they had in the backyard or whatever, close to the backyard?
That was their house.
Mm-hmm.
Her and her husband, yeah.
Her house, probably.
Yeah.
And he found her there. So it was
On hi
hinted
that was
like,
his boat. They took the ex-husband's boat out.
mhm,
She stayed in the house, and I guess
mhm,
he had to leave.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because I think like so that scene where she would see him, that trench
Mhm.
coat and hat, I think she was actually experiencing him, seeing him, but then he was like, "Oh, it's not there. He's not." Like she, because remember when she said during when he found them, like I should have said something that I've seen him here and there. She
Yeah.
hinted like she's seen him here and there, but she wasn't saying anything because she was just like, don't make a fuss about it so it doesn't anger him or anything like that. And I bet you it's that detective that died or whatever was the one that she was talking to or helping
Right.
her. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I still like it that Michael became cray cray
I know.
because he was haunted. Well, he was so narcissistic though. Like during the conversation between him and the doctor, the psychiatrist, he was like, "I it was self defense. They're the one who did. Like it's
Yeah,
their
I
fault."
know. Typical narcissists.
Right.
It's
Like,
always
I
everybody
just want
else.
like, I don't belong here, and, I'm a doctor or whatever, like, but yeah. But then he sees them.
Good.
All they were saying is "boo," and he was like, oh, he was like on the floor, screaming, and I was just like,
Good,
oh,
I
that was
hope he goes to a mental institution because
yeah,
let
that
you
was the
live out your
perfect.
life. What?
Well, that was the perfect
Mm.
revenge. Like they still had their happily ever after, and he was like, yeah,
Yeah,
because he
that'd
was
be
like,
perfect.
he shot him in the head, and then he dragged her and drowned her.
Yeah, he could sit in a straitjacket for the rest of his life now.
Exactly, it's a perfect revenge for them, and
Yeah.
I'm sure they would like. I feel like once he's in the mental institute, they would visit him here and there, like let him like think that he doesn't see them anymore but he was just like they were just like leaving him alone for a little bit and then they come back and then like terrorize him again, start over. That would
Why?
be
You got eternity. You got nothing else better to do. Pop in every once in a while.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, they were popping in and out a while, like, and
All right. Well, that was a good choice. I think
mhm,
what do you think? So next time we do a review, not next episode, but next time we do a review, we agreed that we will do
mhm.
audiobook. Is it Madness or no? Or are we not doing that
Madness,
yet?
not for a while because we have other
Oh,
books.
okay. But we will do that one. I'm gonna definitely try that audiobook. Um, so
I
yeah,
mean, I'm sorry, like I love Chantel, but like I'm not
800
reading 800
pages. Yeah.
pages
I'm gonna give it a go.
to where
So
like I'm rushing this 800 pages just for the episode. Or I have to start now just
yeah. Now I'm gonna
I mean,
try audiobook. I think we'll both do that, and
yeah.
I think
Because I
that's a
mean
good one
20
to start with.
hours. If we 20 hours worth of audio, if you work 8 hours, that's two and a
I
half
can't do
days.
it and work at the same time. I can't.
Oh, you can. Oh, I love
No, I
doing
need to I can't think and think. I
oh.
can't double think.
Oh, because mine's like not really like I'm so used to like doing whatever I'm doing now that it's like I can
Mm,
listen like I will have TV shows that I've already watched, so I'm just listening to it
yeah.
and I can get in the zone. Um, I would say though, don't be going to the gym and listening to audiobooks
No, I
because
don't go to the gym, so we don't have to worry about that.
the spicy stuff. And so I'm listening to Sadie Kincaid. You all know she was really good with spicy scenes. So I'm like working out, and then all of a sudden you'll just see me like smiling because I'm just like, why are you smiling or laughing or like why are you blushing? She's like, leave me alone. It's like my audio. And I'm just like, no. Oh, you know that guy that I told you that looked hot? Up close, he wasn't.
All right. Well, there we
I was
go.
just like it's okay. Like far away, and he was wearing like a gray sweatpants, and I was like, okay. And then I think I passed him, and I was like, oh, well, that's a disappointment.
Well,
Must
oh,
have been my
well.
husband.
Ha! On that note, that brings us to the end of the episode. Be sure to follow us on all our socials and make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episodes. If there is an author or a topic you would like us to cover, go ahead and send us a DM on our Instagram. That's all. Have a good night.
Bye.